Hello, everybody. Well, lots of things happened over the weekend. Some good, some bad, some right damn awful. And of course, the big news is that Edu is leaving Arsenal, which is a big, big shock for me. We'll get into that as well. Now listen, what's going on a weekend where we've got a Chelsea and an Arsenal fan here and a Spurs fan, and the only team that's won is Spurs? What's going on here? What is going on? And listen, I don't care what anyone wants to say about Spurs. What a fantastic second half performance that was yesterday. Destroyed Villa, who, to be fair, have been on a good run. So we'll get into that. But I think we're going to start. We'll start at the first one first, the 12:30 kickoff. Arsenal. What is going on at Arsenal? What is going on? We're going to get well, maybe not so much of independent views, but and certainly not neutral. But from my point of view, shocking performance, shocking result. I didn't think Newcastle were that good, to be fair. I thought they were okay and didn't have to be that good to beat us. Run out of ideas, team selection poor, and questions have got to be asked about Mikel Arteta in a moment, and especially now on the back of Edu deciding to leave, or as he pushed, I don't know. I spoke to Edu in the summer. If you'd have said to me, "Oh, we'll leave by the end of this, well, before Christmas," I'd have laughed at you. So it's not all going well in the Arsenal camp at the moment. Are they at the title race? Not quite. I think that as we speak, I think that team and the way we're playing at the moment is a top four team at the best, because I think the same with Tottenham, same with Chelsea, if you want to, they get good wins and all that, but there's always a little dark performance around the corner. And I think that's happened with Arsenal as well at this moment in time, so consistency is key. Well, we're not consistent at the moment, certainly not on winning points of view. So I'm very, very disappointed as an Arsenal fan of the way that unfolded and the way the weekend unfolded, guys. I have to say, Manchester City losing as well, that was a shock. I didn't see that coming. And Liverpool winning again, boys, but scraping through. I didn't think that they was impressive. But Sunday was a super Sunday, I think. It turned out to be I thought it was an intriguing sort of couple of games. So let's talk about the Arsenal game first. What's your feeling, Henry? As a Spurs fan, you must be enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think that performance has been coming. Shakhtar Donetsk midweek, a couple of weeks ago, it took an own goal to get past them. You didn't create a huge amount of chances. The Liverpool game, obviously, massive game. You got to be up for that. Southampton, you go 1-0 down, you get back into the game. Bournemouth, obviously, red cards cost you, and you expected to score a few against Preston, but you can't create chances at the moment. Your best chance is in the 89th minute of the game when Saka puts the ball in for Declan Rice. If you're going for a league title, you've got to be creating 3 or 4 clear-cut chances every single game. Other than that crossing for Rice, I don't remember. And the one off the line from, I think it was Marino, blocked by Lewis Hall, I don't remember you creating a huge amount. We can talk about the Arsenal defensive problem from Anthony Gordon. That's one hell of a cross. I think you've got to be on your absolute best to stop something like that. You could argue that Gabriel and Saliba are too far apart.
Yeah.
And Gabriel maybe should have won the header. Take nothing away from Isak. It's a fantastic header, and Ray has got no chance. But the fact that City lost is also a gut punch for you boys, because if you would have won, you obviously make up the ground. But what makes it even worse is Liverpool go 1-0 down and they show the determination, the fight, and the character to get back in. Yes, they weren't their best, but they won the game. And the fact that them, Dan's Chelsea have now gone above you. If they play you next week, which they do, and win, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea beat you. I'm going to be honest. You got Inter Milan midweek. They can rest everyone because they've got Noah. Cole Palmer will be rested. Jackson, at that 11 that played against Man United, the only one that will play will be Cucurella. The whole team will be rested and rotated. whereas Arsenal can't. And it's been coming. The performances have dropped off massively. And I don't necessarily think you can, yes, Odegaard's out, and of course he's your most creative player, but you need a goal down against Newcastle, and the first subs he makes is Zinchenko and Ben White. Why did you sign Sterling in the summer? Of course, we're 10 games in. You could go on a 5 or 6 game run and be right up there again. But you've got Forest coming up, who are in the form at the moment. That's not going to be an easy game. We know Nuno's going to put 10 men behind the ball and hit you on the counter. You got Sporting away. Victor Gyökeres is scoring for absolute fun. Inter Milan away and Chelsea away. And then obviously the news today where Edu, your director of football, is going to be leaving the club, and it looks like Forest are in for him. That's not a all of a sudden he decided to leave. I personally think something's gone on internally there. And you even said yourself, we saw on AFTV that towards the end of the window or the January window, Arsenal fans will be proud. He's not saying that from a position of weakness. He's saying that because he believes in the project and he believes that Arsenal are going to go out and sign 2 or 3 good players. Now, everyone was talking about the window. Was it good enough? Was it not good enough? That doesn't explain your lack of creativity right now. You've got 1 injury in your midfield. Why is Nwaneri not coming on at half time?
That's what all the Arsenal fans are saying, Henry. Why that didn't happen. And listen,
you shouldn't be relying on a 17-year-old, Lee. You should be relying on your most creative player to be a 17-year-old.
Well, you're not relying on him because you've got players in there that can do that. Odegaard's unfortunate injury. So listen, injuries happen and you have to find a way. And I'm not saying you rely on a 17-year-old, but you use him for a few games and then you bring back Odegaard or whatever. I think when people go, you're going to be relying on a 17-year-old, you're looking at a 6 to 9 month season. He's probably going to play 10 games in that.
But those 10 games is what could win you or lose you a title.
But listen, so I don't care about his age. If he's good enough, you play him.
Of course.
And what I've said, you look at the performance against Preston. I know it's only Preston, but he still performed, and I think that don't start him in that game against Newcastle. But when things start to unfold and it doesn't look like it's happening, listen, I think it was Leicester. We're 2-2, and we bring him on, and he injects a bit of magic into the team, and we end up winning the game 4-2, which mask what a poor performance that was, Henry. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of it, we have to turn around and say it's not actually relying on him. But I certainly agree with you. I was just looking at the league table. Even before we take on Chelsea, we could be down in 9th position because you've got Villa and Spurs now are on 16 points. Spurs will beat Ipswich next week at home. So Spurs, by the time we play Chelsea, will be above us. So by the international break, if we do not beat Chelsea, Tottenham will be above us. And now all that talk about Ange and come under a lot of pressure. If he's coming under pressure like that, well, certainly, then if I will have to be saying that Arteta is going to be under a little bit of pressure. Dan, what do you think from a Spurs point, from a Chelsea point of view? What are you actually thinking about this at the moment? You must be confident going into that.
Yeah, more confident than I probably expected to be when I looked at this sort of group of 4 fixtures between international breaks for Chelsea. To be honest, I thought Arsenal was probably one of the fixtures that I would consider not having a chance of getting any points. But going into it now, I feel like we might have a chance. Not that we've been great by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Arsenal have been so lackluster in what Henry's saying in creating chances. I just feel like Chelsea are going to have a chance to actually just stay in the game. But I thought beginning of the season, you had a tricky period, and I thought Arteta was doing it to navigate it in a way to just make sure you didn't lose. And then I was expecting you to change gear and start sort of putting some performances in that were probably a little bit more like we saw last year at times. And
Well, we've lost that. We've lost
and
that.
thinking,
I was back.
I don't know whether or not you definitely should have signed a striker, because I feel like Havertz, that's the sort of game I saw him have too often at Chelsea.
So, you know, like with Kai Havertz, a lot of criticism about Kai Havertz at this moment in time. You know, he didn't even play centre forward. You know, I mean, people are going about him playing forward. He wasn't even forward. He was actually everywhere but centre forward on Saturday, and I just don't understand how that happened. And listen, with the game against Chelsea, I make you right, Dan. I honestly felt after the games against City and the games against Spurs, where we had to be a little bit defensive, a little bit more cautious, because we had players missing. Don't forget, when we played Spurs, we didn't have just Odegaard missing 4 days before that. So that messed all the plans up. We also obviously knew that Declan Rice weren't going to be playing. We had a few injuries, but we found a way of getting through that. But this game, then since those games, this is right, you know, like those games, Leicester, Southampton, right? Let's see now a different Arsenal, a different demeanour about us, and it never happened. And I think from that point of view, I think that those poor performances have sort of rocked us a little bit, Henry. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we've not been like, I don't know how you felt yesterday. We talk about Spurs now, like, but when I've walked out of the stadium, I've not been buzzing, or what a performance and everything like that. So I think that that's all in the how it's all going for us, in the whole package at this moment in time. And he needs to sort it out. And I don't think he's going to sort it out in Milan, and I don't think he's going to sort it out in Chelsea. I think by the end of this international break, the title will be over for us, and we'll be in about 8th or 9th. And I think there's going to be massive pressure on. And also, you know, you can't say like, well, right, Odegaard's back, that's everything fixed, because I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think that, you know, it will make it a little bit better. Of course it will, like, you know. But I do think there's problems ahead for Arsenal. And listen, that's it for me. I don't really want to talk too much about Arsenal. Well, let's talk about Spurs now. Dan keeps dropping out at this moment in time, so we'll go with Spurs. 1-0 down at half time. Didn't see the first half, to be fair. I was coming back from
poor first half from both sides.
So there you go. But like but half time. Well, I'm going to say this now. Like, again, at half time, 15 minutes. That's where the manager earns his money, Henry. That's where he gets it. And they've come out completely different. And
he's done it 3 times in a row now as well. Managers make the big calls, and the first big call he made was leaving James Maddison on the bench.
Yes, we'll talk about
I don't think you can play Kulusevski and Maddison together. I think you have to play one or the other. And our best player this season has been Kulusevski. He has been, I would say, he's in the top 5 attacking midfielders in the league right now. Everything goes through him. The weight of pass for Dominic Solanke's first goal is absolutely ridiculous. And the finish is incredible from him. Because he's been getting criticised a lot. Solanke's not good enough. He's a flop. But the first big decision he made was to leave Maddison on the bench. The second biggest one was taking Son off in the 55th minute after just putting in a fantastic cross for the first goal. And I was sitting in the pub yesterday after playing Sunday League with all the lads going, what on earth is he doing? But then again, I've got to shut my mouth, because he brings on Richarlison, who sets up the third goal, right? And then he brings on Maddison, who scores an absolute worldie of a free kick. And, you know, for all the stick I've given Ange and for all the criticism I've given him, I'm happy to give him praise when I think it's deserved. And we've won 9 of our last 11 games. We've won our last 3 home games on the bounce, which was against our last 4 home games on the bounce, against West Ham 4-1, AZ Alkmaar, Man City, and West Ham. And we've scored the most goals in the league now. And this is the thing I struggle to process is our team. Not a lot of top teams would take Brendan Johnson or Timo Werner or this player or that player, but Angie's getting a lot out of these players. Of course, it's going to be the odd game where they don't take their chance and they don't score the goal, right? But we've scored 20. To put it into perspective, right? We scored 22 league goals. We scored 5 more than Villa, 5 more than Arsenal, 5 more than Brighton, 8 more than Forest, 1 more than City, 3 more than Liverpool, and 2 more than Chelsea. And now, look, if we would have lost yesterday, we would have played 10, we would have lost 5, we would have won 3 and drawn 2, or whatever it was. And everyone would be pulling their hair out. But we've won 9 of our last 11 games. And you've got to give Ange some credit. If Ange is getting criticised right now and he's under a hell of a lot of pressure, why isn't Arteta, like you said, under the same amount of pressure? We've just beaten City and Villa in back-to-back games, scoring 6 goals.
That's a great point. And I think that the one thing I'll give Ange credit for is where Arteta just doesn't seem to do it, is that they get a bad result against Palace last week, which was an awful performance, awful result. Awful.
It was diabolical.
Just like Arsenal at Newcastle, but probably even worse. And then they bounced back 2 wins later against 2 very, very good teams in Manchester City and Aston Villa. 2 Champions League teams, by the way. Okay, at home, but that's still getting the result. Then you look at Arsenal, they lose to Bournemouth, then they can't beat Liverpool, and then they can't beat Newcastle. So you have to give credit there. And listen, Aston Villa are no mugs. You know, I felt at 1-0. As I said, I didn't see the first half, but you know, look, what a couple of my Spurs mates have been saying, they were comfortable. It was comfortable, and it looked like that they may go on and win it 2-0 or not lose the game. Put it that way. But then within a 15-minute spell, Tottenham have done what they've done, and Tottenham are capable of doing that. As you say, they went 1-0 down against West Ham, and within 10, 15 minutes, they're 3-1 up. They've done it again yesterday. So they've got the ammunition to score the goals. And as you quite rightly said, the manager at this moment in time is making big calls. Now, they may go wrong, but they're not. You know, and at the end of it, at least he's trying to make things happen. And listen, you know, the trouble with Spurs is, you know, like, and it won't happen against Ipswich, but you know that there's another dodgy result come down the line somewhere else. You know, the performance against Crystal Palace was so lackluster.
It'll probably be Bournemouth away on the 5th of December. Night game.
Yeah. Well, Bournemouth are a difficult team to play against, like, you know, and it's, you know, all credit to them what they're doing down there. But you've got to give credit to Spurs. I go back to when we was talking, you know, after we beat you. If you don't beat Coventry, he's probably out. But he does beat Coventry. I know it weren't the greatest performance. Then he goes on a 5-game unbeaten run. You know, he does seem to be getting the best out of these players. When you look at it, like, as you say, they look like scoring on every time they went forward yesterday. Like, you know, now you telling me that your wide players are better than our wide players, or your midfield players better than our midfield players? I'm not having it. But there's a style of play which suits your players. You know what I mean? Like, you're attacking players. You know, Solanke, I see yesterday, I didn't think he was unbelievably great, but look, when it matters, he's in the right place at the right time to
he's just a poacher.
Yeah,
an old-fashioned poacher.
He's there. And when you've got someone like that, a focal point at the end of it, like, you've got a chance of winning games of football. And defensively, you know, let's just talk about defence a little while, like, you know, because Arsenal have come under a little bit of a pass. Oh, they've got their players injured and all that. Like, you're losing Van der Ven again, you know what I mean? Like,
and Romero.
Then Romero goes off injured, but they still continue. I didn't see Spurs going at their shell yesterday because of that. They carried on doing what, you know, probably, like, you know, the best form of defence is to attack, and that's what they've done. And unbelievably, they've got the result. But just before we go on, Dan's had internet problems, so it doesn't look like he's going to come back to us. So we'll talk about Chelsea, just me and you, Henry, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of it, and I don't like it, because they've got some Spurs. But you're coming away from the ground yesterday. Surely the fans are buzzing about what you're seeing at Tottenham at the moment. It is entertaining.
You are in Europa League, won 3 out of 3. We're in the League
Europa League.
final.
You're virtually, well, you're guaranteed in the next round anyway. But like you know, who have you got? You've got a difficult one. Is it Galatasaray?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm looking at our fixtures we've got coming up, and look, you never know with Spurs. We could lose to Ipswich at home and then beat City away the following week, because that's just how unpredictable we are. But with Galatasaray away, I think we could go out and beat them. Ipswich Town, we should be beating them.
Yeah.
City away, I think.
So that's the first game back after international break. City away.
Yeah, I reckon we'll, because not a lot of our players will be going on international break, because Ange, he's relentless with it. I think we'll beat City. Honestly, I honestly do. Because City at home, they just don't look like they're firing all cylinders. Then we got Roma. By then, we should be qualified for the Europa League. So I don't really care as much about that game, because we should be on 10 or 12 points after Thursday. Then we got Fulham at home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, Rangers away. So the fixtures, they're not horrendous, but a lot of our tough games are coming at home, where Roma at home, Chelsea at home. So we could quite easily go on a bit of a run here. Like I said, we've won 9 of our last 11 games. That's a good run. Galatasaray, we beat them. We've won 4 out of 4 in the Europa League. We're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. Man United, it'll be interesting, because they'll have Ruben in by them. So I expect a proper. If it was Eric Ten Hag, I think we'd blow them away like we did at Old Trafford. But yeah, I mean, come Sunday, if we're going into the international break, and if this happens, then I think a lot of teams have got to take a long hard look at themselves. If Chelsea and Arsenal draw, which it wouldn't surprise me if it was a draw. Liverpool beats Aston Villa. I think Liverpool will beat Aston Villa, just for the record. And Nottingham Forest draw to Newcastle. Tottenham are in 3rd. If those results happen, if Chelsea and Arsenal draw, we beat Ipswich, and Liverpool beat Villa, we go up to 3rd. Now, if Tottenham are in 3rd, Chelsea and Arsenal should be taking a long hard look at themselves, because you two have got superior squads than us. But what Ange is doing is getting the most out of our players.
Yeah, listen, I can't see anything other than a Spurs win against Ipswich will put them in a real good place. I think there's something with Spurs at this moment in time that they have got a little bit of a thing over Manchester City. They have, they continue to get results against them. I'll be very, very surprised if Spurs win that game against Man City. But I think it'd be a tight game. I don't think like City would overrun Spurs at any way. And I think it'd be as you say, some favourable games there. A few home games in there. Fulham. Listen, those games are not easy. Fulham, but Bournemouth, they're not easy games. You know what I mean? No games are easy. But if you're on a bit of a roll as you are now, they're the sort of games you want coming up. You don't want to be going to like Arsenal away or Chelsea away. You've got Chelsea, as you say, at home. If that was away, it's a different game, as you know. But like the trouble with the teams in the top 4. Look, Arsenal have been in the chasing top 4. Just when you think you've got it sussed and you're going to get onto a run, you lose a game, and I think that's the problem that you have. But if Tottenham can find consistency, the likes of Chelsea, Man United going to the White Hart Lane Stadium or Tottenham Stadium at the moment, it's not an easy place to go to. It's not easy, as Aston Villa found out yesterday. I think Villa, I'm not saying we're in control of that game. They was winning. They took Rodgers off, and they said he was injured, but he said he weren't, and whatever. If you lose control against Tottenham, that's the end of it. So very, very. Going to be interesting in the next few weeks. All I'm saying is, come on, Ipswich. It's about time you get your first win in the Premier League. That's all I'm saying. Let's go on to Dan's back with us. We've got managed to sort out the internet. Well done, Dan.
Yeah, hope so. I'm on my hotspot, so I hope it works.
Well done, like, But listen, 1-1 yesterday. As a neutral, I didn't think it was a great game, but a fair result. I think that Chelsea didn't deserve to lose that game, in my opinion. Come back with an equaliser, and I felt that they had a very, very good chance just after that to win it. So I think there'll be a little bit of little disappointment, but also like you haven't lost. But I'm going to say it now. I didn't think it was a penalty. I really don't. I've seen it a few times. He's dived. Come on, he's dived. All right, there's contact, but he's dived. But as my Chelsea mate said to me, Sanchez should never be going for that. You know what I mean? And that's the key to it all. Like, Chelsea have got to get a better goalkeeper. That gives me a little bit of hope going into the game next week. That I don't think defensively you're as sound as you should be because of the goalkeeping issues. But certainly got players in the team that can win you games. And I felt it was a fair result yesterday, if I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think in the end, the draw probably seemed like the right result for both teams, to be honest. I think United had a lot of chances that they just didn't take. I think a Rashford hitting the bar post, whatever it was. Garnacho had a load of chances. He just couldn't finish at all. The penalty's such a weird one because I agree with you, Lee, but the Sanchez just doesn't need to go and make that contact. Højlund's gone down softly. He's barely touched his foot, right? And he's fallen straight to the floor. But in this game, in this modern era, it's a penalty all day, I think. Where as soon as a keeper does that, he forces the ref into having to make a decision. And we were literally talking about him doing it the other week against Liverpool. He's a keeper that's always going to give the opposing team something, whether it's a mistake with his distribution or lack of concentration, or it's a fault that he makes recklessly in the box. I think he's always going to give a team something. I actually thought he had an all right game up until that moment. And then he allowed Manchester United back into a game where it didn't look like they were ever going to score in terms of their luck on the day. Chelsea going forward for me were lackluster, hopeless at times. I felt like Enzo Fernandez had a really good chance to seal it for us, and he absolutely messed that up. I don't know what he was trying to do.
If he's in an Argentina shirt, he scores that.
Do you reckon he does? Yeah, I think he got confused. I don't think he knew what was the best option to take, either wrap it round the players or put it over the top of them. And I think he ended up trying to do a bit of both, and it was just hopeless. So we weren't amazing. I think Madueke didn't have a great game. I think defensively, I don't know what Maresca's trying to do with Reece James, play him as a left back. I just don't think you get the best out of Reece there. I think Gusto, the experiment might be over now because he's getting in the right areas, but it's what he's doing on the ball is just not effective. So,
what would you do? Would you go Reece James and Cucurella against Arsenal?
I was trying to work this out earlier. I don't know whether Madueke's performances have got to a level now where it's like he shouldn't be in the team, and I think there's question marks over Sancho as well. I'm wondering whether Cole Palmer gets moved back out to the right and a number 10 in Nkunku or João Felix come in to see if they've got more product than like Madueke. Because last season, 80% of Cole Palmer's sort of season was on the right. Yeah. So I wonder whether there's an option to see if we can maximise some output and put someone else in the team who's got goals. Because if Jackson has a quiet game or Palmer has a quiet game, I don't know where the goals are coming from because Madueke and Neto aren't renowned for scoring goals.
Neto looked lively though yesterday.
He did, but I don't. Lively. But I've seen him have them shots. You know those shots? They're not a P roller, but there's not enough on them to ever go in. He had two that were very similar. Yeah, and I just didn't quite see our striker getting involved enough. And when a winger's had opportunities, I just don't feel like they're ever going to put up numbers that are good enough for Chelsea to compete in matches when the other players aren't performing. I don't think it's as drastic as I make it sound because we're sat fourth, by the way, and a point at Old Trafford's a point at Old Trafford. But
no, I think
we won.
Dan, can I ask a question? But feel free to say what you. If you'd have said to me like beginning of November before the fireworks were popping off, you'll be fourth in the league. Would you be happy with that at this moment in time, or do you think that you could be slightly better?
Do you know what it is? I think in hindsight, it's like you can look at it in two perspectives. You can look at it like zoomed out and just go fourth in the Prem November above Arsenal. you'd think it's all rosy. But when you like zoom in a little bit and look at some of the games, I think we could have even been in a better position than that, because that Liverpool game, I think we didn't turn up to a point where we could have done better in that and got a draw. I think we could have won that game yesterday. I look at other games where we've not been perfect. I actually think Maresca's got a very good squad here. And sometimes through his own meddling, I think he's hindered this Chelsea team at times this season. But I also think he's allowed us to flourish, and that's probably the reason we're sat fourth. So it's just a bit frustrating, because I think that, I think everyone can see yesterday that Manchester United at times were there for the taking, and Chelsea didn't take advantage of it. There's a reason United are bottom half of the table, because they ain't got the quality that they've had in recent years, or I say recent years, in years gone by.
They can't score goals.
They can't. That Højlund didn't look like scoring at all.
No, they've got problems, Man United.
I don't think Xerxes going to be cut out for the Prem. I know that's early, but I watch him and just think that's a guy that will be back in Italy before we know it.
Yeah, before the end of the season, one of the clubs will come in, whether it's like Atalanta or something like that. One of them will come in for him. You got him coming. I watched him yesterday, and he's running through, and I think it was the final. He was jogging, keeping up with him.
Do you know what I wanted to see? A foot race between Enzo Fernandez and him, and see who like was slowest to the goal, because I just think both of them are just not suited to the Prem at all. And I just think he looks, for such like an athletic frame, he looks so unathletic, Xerxes, I think.
Do you think you'll beat Arsenal?
I think we might get a draw. I think if we end up with 5 points out of the 12 that we've had in this difficult run, I'd probably take that. It's not great, but I think it's probably
they've got Inter though, Dan. That you can rest everyone.
Yeah, but we rest. All right, this is where I've got a bit of an issue with this, because we rested everyone for that game against Newcastle midweek. Newcastle, I think they changed 3 players. Then they played Arsenal, and I think 3 players changed again. Nothing was ever drastic, and they kept up some really good momentum. And they took what they did against Chelsea in the league, and they learnt from it. Then they played Chelsea in the cup. They won. They took that winning momentum from the cup into Arsenal, and they won that. And I think there's an argument to be said about dropping players and resting them, but there's also an argument to make that it kills any momentum that's made. And the best players want to play in every game, right? And I think an 11 changes is too drastic. I just don't think that's sustainable. But I think if you made 5, 6, I think you can get away with it.
5.
Yeah,
whereas I don't think Arsenal can.
Well, I don't think Arsenal will make too many changes. The good thing about Arsenal, listen, it's not about the games; it's about the recovery. What you do in between. Arsenal got the extra day, where being on a Sunday, so you play on the Wednesday, you travel back, you got a couple of days rest and everything like that, and then you should be fine, like, you know. So I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's an issue. I think that Newcastle travelled, as you say, they travelled to Chelsea there on the Sunday. Then they played Chelsea on the Wednesday, and they still had enough in their locker for the Saturday. By the way, which was a lesser of a day, and you know, I don't think you can say that those sort of teams look a little bit jaded at this moment. One thing I will say about the league and this at the moment, like Chelsea have drawn 3 games as well as Arsenal. But you look at Spurs, they've lost 4 games, Spurs, more than anybody in the top 6. But they're you know, they've only drawn 1. Drawing games I know it sounds silly, but you win 1, lose 1. It's better than drawing 2.
Yeah. No, it is 100%.
I know it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, does it? But at the end of the day, you get more points for that. You know, so I do think that with Chelsea, I think maybe drawn a couple of games more than what they should have done. You know, I think like Chelsea, like, listen, I think Forest have done fantastically well at this moment in time. You know, like Forest have only lost 1 game. Forest have lost 1 game.
You know what it is with Forest, Lee? I was just chatting about this a little bit earlier, is that Nuno is that you get so many managers now that are obsessed with a system rather than actually just going for results. And I think Nuno, every game he's playing in, he's thinking, how am I going to get a result here? And he's setting his team up differently in each game that he plays and managing it in a way that gives his team the best chance of getting points. There's a reason they're sat where they are in the table right now, because he's going against the grain right now, where everyone's going for a system and this ideal style of football. Nuno is going for results, and he's getting them because he's taking the game to teams, and they don't know what to do because, hang on a minute, this isn't the perfect football that we've been set up to play against.
No, they've got some good players as well.
It's ugly and old-fashioned, and
yeah,
you know, like the likes of Sam Allardyce and managers like that, they'd be proud of a team going and getting results like that.
Do you think, guys? This a question was asked to me yesterday that the league table, the league is a lot more open this year than the last few years. It's not. I don't know if it's as much quality or whatever, but you know, like if you look down, so I don't even bring in Newcastle. They're top 10 at the moment, 15 points, 10 points separating them between them and Liverpool. But like at this moment in time, Liverpool lost one game, City have lost one game, Forest have lost one game, Chelsea 2, Arsenal 2, Villa 2 now, Spurs 4, Brighton 2, Bournemouth 3, Newcastle 3. So everybody's seeming to be beating everybody at this moment in time.
I feel like the league will be won on around 80 points this year. 80 to 84 points, where we kind of saw last year it was 91. We saw 2 incredible years of City and Liverpool where they got 97, 99 points. I'll be amazed if anyone gets around the 90 mark this season, just because of, like you said, how open it is. But the January transfer window is absolutely huge. If you go out and buy a striker, if Man United get a midfielder to replace Rodri, maybe Zubimendi, Liverpool bring in a left back and another midfielder, even Chelsea. If Chelsea are within 6-7 points of top, and they go out and bring in a Victor Osimhen in January, or bring in, I don't know, if anyone signs Gyökeres, all of it. I'm not saying Chelsea are going to win the league, but you kind of look at them going, well, hang on, they were only 6-7 points away, and they're bringing in a 25-goal a season player. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but you can make the same argument. If we're within 7-8 points and we go and have a really strong window, like this year, it just seems like, whether it's because there's more games, because there's more games in the Champions League, I think there's an extra international break this part of the year because of the Nations League. So the performances are dropping off because there's too much football being played. But I think between 80 to 84 points is where the league will be won this year. I think it'll be like a 7 to 8 point drop off of last year.
Looking at the table now, what teams do you think are genuinely in the title race?
Forest.
So, for instance, like you say Forest.
Nah, I'm one.
You wouldn't go Forest, would you? Like you think?
It's City, Arsenal, Liverpool. But
I don't think Arsenal are in it. I hate to break it to you.
I'm going to say, if they lose to Chelsea this weekend,
I do think they're still in it at this moment in time.
Yeah.
If they beat Chelsea, they're still in it. If they don't beat Chelsea, and that means draw as well, Dan, right, then they're out of it.
Right. Yeah,
I agree with that.
I'm concerned, mate. What I saw against Newcastle, that just don't look like a team.
If they play like that, they've gone. They've gone.
And Bournemouth as well. It weren't great. I know the red card and everything, but
no, the performance for listen, Arsenal have got they've got to have what's the word, a reset.
Yeah,
and that starts.
They need this international break. Actually, I think.
Yeah, but the international break's coming two games too late for us, really. Like, you know what I mean? So, I think they need a reset and quickly, like, you know. But if they can get something at Milan and then take that on to Chelsea, then it could be a little bit different. Like, all right, then we go. What as it stands? Let's have a little quiz, see where we can go. As it stands, what's the top 4 going to be?
City or Liverpool at the top. I think Liverpool at the moment don't look like a basketball side. They look a lot more controlled. But then again, if they get one injury to a key player, City or Liverpool, I'm still going to back City. I think will win the league, but it's going to be mighty close, like a point in it. Liverpool second, then Arsenal, then Chelsea.
I think
interesting.
But if
I
like I
think
said, if
City
Chelsea
are
go
going
out
to
and sign
be
a big
close,
roster,
Henry. I'm not sure, Henry. Do you really think they're going to do it? Like, you think they're going to win it?
I think City will go out and buy a couple of players in January.
Right, and then that's enough to like get them over the line, right?
If they bring in a Zubimendi or they bring in a forward, because they've got to sign a forward. They've got Oscar Bob back in January as well. They can't have one striker and just rely on Haaland. They've got to have someone else in there.
Yeah.
Like last year, they had
I
Julian
think
Alvarez.
Liverpool will have a bad spell at some stage.
But they don't look like slowing down. Everyone said, "Oh, you got this 10 games of really difficult fixtures coming your way." Okay, they beat Chelsea. They go out to Germany. They beat Leipzig. They beat Brighton home and away.
Yeah, that's good. You know, and I have to say that, like, you know, that is
They're going to beat City on Sunday as well. Sorry, they're going to beat City in a couple of weeks. 100%. It's at Anfield. They've got Leverkusen tomorrow. I think they'll beat Leverkusen. I think they'll beat Villa at the weekend. I think the game which they are going to have a wobble is
they got Villa next Saturday, haven't they? At 8 o'clock kickoff, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Manchester City got to go to Brighton, which is not easy.
City will lose that.
Nah, you reckon?
Yeah. I'm telling you, mate, there's going to be a serious wobble. Who have City got in the Champions League?
Sporting, I think.
Yeah, don't be surprised if Gyökeres bags a couple of goals there. Like their best man has been their left back.
The international break when it comes back is City versus Spurs. That's an important game.
And we'll end up losing to Ipswich and then doing City.
Liverpool got Southampton.
That's just kind of what we do, isn't it?
A nice little run coming now, like if I look at it really. And then that big one, as you say, Manchester City on the 1st of December.
Lee,
that will be a key game.
If you think you're still in the title race, obviously, I know you've only lost 2 games, but how many more games and points can you drop between now and the end of the season?
What, Arsenal?
Yeah.
8 points.
Yeah, just, you know, like 8 to 10 points. Yeah, you know what I mean. But listen, the thing is, when you say, like, you know, all right, you can like lose this game, and then, you know, you can go and win every single game or whatever. It's not so much that you know, you cannot. Arsenal dropped 8 points out of 9. You can't carry on doing that. You've got to stop the rot and then go into it. Now, Arsenal are capable of going on a run. Listen, I think if Arsenal win on Sunday, you know, Liverpool have only got to slip up once, and then like you're all of a sudden it's only 4 points. And like they're playing each other in a couple of weeks' time, both drop points then, and all of a sudden you could be back in it. But in that you've got to then go and beat Nottingham Forest, you've got to go and beat Man United, and you've got to go and beat West Ham away. So there's some really, really tough games in there. Arsenal can't afford at this moment in time now, till Christmas time and afterwards, to drop any points. They have got to go on and win. I don't know. They've got to win it. I'll look at Arsenal. I'm not going to look at. I'm not going to look at the Champions League, because I don't think that it comes into it this moment in time. Chelsea away, got to win that. Forest at home, not easy. Got to win that. Right. Then they go to West Ham, which is never going to be easy now with the Declan Rice thing. You know, but got to win that one. Manchester United at home, Fulham away. Right. Everton at home, Crystal Palace in the cup, and then That's another thing I don't like. I don't know about you guys. We've got Crystal Palace on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and then and then we've got Crystal Palace then on the Saturday. You know what I mean? So like 2 games into. I hate those when.
We just had it against Newcastle.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I hate them, but that's what can happen. I look at those games there. Do you know what me and Henry just talking when he wasn't on? Dan, I don't see any easy fixture there till, if I'll be really honest, Ipswich on Boxing Day, right? So we've got to go to every single game, winning every one out. In the form that we're in at the moment, there's not one game there I can say, yeah, that's a give me. Everton home, yeah, maybe. But other than that, there's none. And we just looked at Spurs' next few games. All like, you know, yeah, Bournemouth's a tough one, but it's at home. Chelsea's a tough one, but it's at home. You know, Arsenal have got tough games. Chelsea away, West Ham away. You know,
Lee, do you think
pull them away. We've got 3 local derbies coming up away from home.
Do you think? I saw it trending yesterday. If you lose to Chelsea and you're down in 9th, which is where you could be.
I think it's 8th because Liverpool play Aston Villa, don't they? But go on.
So let's. I think Liverpool beat Villa. I think the Madrid game coming up is where they'll have a wobble because Madrid have just got Liverpool's number. If you lose to Chelsea, and let's say you're down in 8th after, what would that be? 10 games? 11 games? 11 games down in 8th. So that means you'd be below us, providing we beat Ipswich. Do you think you need a new manager?
Nah. Not at this moment in time. Listen.
Oh, yeah, but if you're so close to City last year, and if
that's a conversation. Henry, it's a conversation you can have. Arsenal are in a position of the last 2 years that we've never I never thought we'd be in, like challenging Man City. And let's be honest, like going toe to toe with Man City, not a lot in it,
Liverpool could go 10 points clear though, Lee.
Yeah, 10 points clear is, that can be done
after 11 games clear.
But I'm not saying because you're 10 points clear, you're going to sack a manager. I don't think Tottenham. How many points you away from them? What I mean. You're not going to sack Ange. It's not. The reason that
but we're not expected to be in a title race.
Yeah, well, was we a couple of years ago? Not really. The reason that we're in a title race now is because of what Mikel has done and the rest of it. He deserves a chance to put it right.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't necessarily think he should be sacked right now. But if you lose to Chelsea and then you got Forest, all of a sudden the pressure mounts. And
listen, if we was to come 8th this season or 6th or 7th this season,
I think if you finish outside the top 4,
yeah, I think if we finish outside the top 4 after what we've done, then there's questions. Of course there is, and rightly so. And of course, but if you go and win the Champions League, it's not. But let's be realistic, that's not going to happen. So I do think that there's definitely questions at this moment in time. Look, they're having a bad run of it at the moment. He's not, for me. The criticism should be there because he's not answered the questions that need to be done. I think I said this and I'll say it again 2 years ago. Listen, Ange, Pep, Mikel, Maraska. How do you say your names?
Maraska.
They've all, if they've got all their players available, they're all going to be good managers. They're going to make it's easy. It's not an easy job, but it's a lot easier. When you've got injuries, right? That's what really defines what you can do as a team. And if I'd be really honest about it, last season, Ange had injuries against Man United, and we all laughed about them. He never found solutions for it. And when he got all his players back, love and behold, they started playing well again. I don't want. He had a Saliba was out two years ago. Fantastic defender. He never found a solution for it. Right. We've now got Odegaard out 2 years later. He's not found a solution for that. So there's no excuses on Arteta. I don't like people going on making sure there ain't no excuses. Questions need to be asked. You as a manager have to find a way of getting through some sort of injuries. I don't want excuses of it, this and that and whatever, At this moment in time, we've got injuries and he is failing. He has not been able to replace an Odegaard at this moment in time. He didn't do it with Saliba. Mate, you've got to be able to do it. And that is the biggest question that I put on him at this moment in time. That when they're all back and they're all playing and everybody's fit, Arsenal are as good as any team in the league and in Europe. But when you've got a couple of injuries, that is when you prove that you are good enough to do it. And he's not. I think listen, didn't fail against Tottenham and Manchester City because there were different games, guys. You know what I mean? Like you can sit in against Tottenham, and get the result. And it doesn't matter how well or how bad you play against Tottenham. If you get the result, the fans are going to love it. So don't worry about it. I don't care how we play. Do you know what? I can't remember how we played against Spurs, but I do remember coming out of the stadium buzzing and seeing all the Spurs fans unhappy and going in a meltdown and I bloody loved it. Don't care about the performance. Don't care about the performance against Man City. I care about the performances against Southampton, Leicester, and what we've seen over the last few weeks. But because you've got to find a way of doing it, and he's not done that. And he will come under pressure, Henry, and rightly so. Rightly so. You can't have one player out. All right, you can't have one player out injured and everything fall apart, right? Now, people will turn around and go, oh, well, we've had a couple of defenders. What defenders have we had out?
Just fullbacks. Calafiori for a few weeks.
Calafiori out for a few weeks.
White's missed a couple of games, been on the bench. I just don't think you can have Liverpool.
Saliba's played every single game. Saliba's played every game. And as is Gabriel. Now, the only game people before everybody goes on and goes, well, Saliba didn't play against Liverpool. That's his own fault. That's not an injury. That's a suspension. Suspensions don't come into the equation. I don't look at some guy like Declan Rice when he was suspended. I don't go, oh, that's unlucky. We go, that's part and parcel of football. Injuries doesn't matter. You can do everything you possibly can and still get injured. There's a little bit of lady luck when it comes to injuries. Liverpool at this moment in time have not had any injuries. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is. Manchester City, as big a squad that they have got injuries and they're suffering a little bit. Tottenham will have injuries and suffer. Chelsea will have injuries and suffer. That is part and parcel. But when you have those injuries, you have to make those things. Now, another thing about Mikel, which I'm going to say about it, don't go on a bit about defenders and that. Thomas Partey played right back. That's his choice. Against Liverpool, it wasn't his choice. He had no options, right? So you have to go, well, fair play to him. He's done that and he's found a way of getting a result against Liverpool. Not the ideal one, but we got a result. He had a choice to play Ben White. He had a choice to play Zinchenko. He had a choice to play a number of people in fullback position. He didn't do it. That is down, and that result is on the manager, and he will get slaughtered for it if he don't do it. Now he has to come up with a situation now and get something at Milan. It ain't the end of the world if we don't. But I tell you this now: if he does not get anything at Chelsea, he doesn't like that. He is under the pump, Henry. And you know what? Yes, rightly so that he should be, because we will be 8th or 9th in the league after 11 or 12 games going into the international break. And if there isn't a question asked about him by fans then Arsenal got a problem, because you've got to have accountability. Doesn't matter whether if Spurs go on a run now, and I don't care if Dan will say this as well. Like if Chelsea lose their next 6 games, do you think that they ain't going to come under any pressure? Do you think if Ange don't win his next 6 games, he's not going to come under any pressure? Well, Arsenal will be going if they don't beat Milan and they don't beat Chelsea. That's 5 games without a win.
It's a matter of defeats as well. It's not like you're coming out of the games thinking, "Oh, we've missed a lot of chances today." Yeah. You're not creating. Like bring Zinchenko on when you need a goal. Bringing on Ben White when you need a goal. When you got I know Sterling's not a prolific 25 goal a season player, and I know he's probably trying to change the shape of the team, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like if we're sitting here at next Monday, going into the international break, and Spurs, let's say hypothetically Chelsea beat you, Spurs beat Ipswich, and Liverpool beat Villa. Liverpool will be 10 points clear of you. And no one said they're in a title race. Everyone said, oh, it's going to be a big drop off when Jurgen Klopp goes. And I know it's only 11 games in. At the same time, you can't be 10 points off of Liverpool, who haven't signed anyone, by the way. They brought in Chiesa, who's played 15 Premier League minutes. It's the same squad.
If Liverpool are 10 points above us at the end of the season, then you can talk. Then there's a conversation. But I'm not gonna go down that in a minute, because
would you not be worried next Monday if we're sitting on here and Liverpool are 10 points clear?
No, I'll be more worried that Man City are 8 points clear. That'd be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forest could be 4 points clear and all.
Liverpool, we're capable of going up to Liverpool and beating them. You're capable of going, but they've got to come to your place. Yet you're capable of beating them. They will drop points. Liverpool will drop points, and if they don't drop points, fair play to them. Good luck to them and all that. You know what I mean? But as you've just sat here and just said, you fancy Man City win the league still. You know what I mean?
It's only because they're the team that have been there, seen it, and done it, haven't they?
Huh?
I said it's only because they're the team that have been there, seen it, and done it.
But for that to happen, Liverpool got to drop points.
Who've City got in the next?
Win every single game now. If Liverpool win every game, right, they've won the league.
Have you seen City's next 5 games?
Nah.
So they've got Brighton away, Tottenham at home, Liverpool away, Forest at home, and Palace away. In between that, they've got Feyenoord and Juventus.
Tough.
I'll tell you now, City will not beat Liverpool at Anfield, and they're going to drop points to either Brighton, Spurs, or Forest.
So if we beat Chelsea, we catch up with the 5 points then, don't we? It's simple. Got to beat Chelsea, Henry. We've got to beat Chelsea.
I've got a feeling that Chelsea are going to come out of there with something.
Right, before we do a couple of little super chats, let's do the super chats first. Come on, get them out of the way. Now, listen, boy, I can't read them. I predicted City, Liverpool. Arsenal.
They predicted City loss, Liverpool draw, Arsenal draw.
They do. Well, you know what I mean. That's part of it, isn't it? With listen, we can all predict and say things, and that no one knows, do they? No one knows what's going to happen. What's this one? Can't see it. Big up Lee Henry, Dan. Not only can't score, but our defence has been ordinary. Why start party at right back? That's another thing. I do agree with that. Had White on the pitch. I do agree with that Arsenal, if I'll be honest, do look a bit shaky at the back. But I do believe that is because you keep swapping around all the teams. If you have a look at defences that go on Arsenal last season, Ben White, 97% of the games, I think, Saliba didn't miss a game. Gabriel missed 1 or 2 at the beginning of the season. The left back changed freely. You've got to have a steady back four in any league. In any league, by the way. Right, before we go, let's have it then. City, we won't include them. We're just because we're. Shall we go? All right, we will then. Brighton versus City. What are we going for? You said, Henry, that Brighton will get something from this game. So were you going to change?
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Dan?
3-1 City.
I'm going to go 2-1 City.
3-1 City?
Yeah, I just fancy City to turn up.
They're bounce back because that's what good teams and good managers do. It's only Arsenal don't do that. We're the only team that don't do it.
Back-to-back defeats. Only one winning 3. Yeah, I can't see them beating Brighton.
Oh, that's fair enough. Coming in Ipswich versus Tottenham versus Ipswich.
4-0 Spurs.
2-2.
Oh,
you're having a laugh, mate.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. I think Ipswich are going to nick it 2-1. There you go.
You're taking the piss, mate. The best attacking team in the league up against Ipswich.
Arsenal versus Chelsea. I'm going to give Dan to go first, then me, and Henry, you can have the last word because you was the team that won the league. Won the league. You was the team that won this week, and we didn't. Dan, what are you going for?
I'm going to say 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 to Arsenal. More heart than head.
I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea.
I'm not having that, Henry. I'm not having that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.